This is ABC Sports exclusive coverage of Super Bowl 34, the OurBeginning.com pregame show.
Last summer, 31 teams had Georgia on their mind. Today, only 2 still have that dream. And 4 hours from now, here in the Georgia Dome, the St. Louis Rams and Tennessee Titans will battle it out in the NFL's ultimate test, Super Bowl 34. Welcome to Atlanta, everybody, where the weather outside is frightful, but the fire inside here, so very delightful. I'm Chris Berman, and from now until kickoff, we'll get you set for the big game. We'll do a little laughing, we'll do a little crying, all in the name of football. 5 years ago, Steve Young and the San Francisco 49ers had an offensive explosion the likes of which have rarely been seen in Super Bowl history. Record 6 TD passes, a fitting 49 yards rushing, even more fitting 49-26 win over the Chargers. Oh, by the way, Young was the MVP. Alas, that was then. This is now, but the Niners' misfortune on the field this season are our good fortune because Steve is with us, and you're looking at here 5 years ago it was you, but you get the goosebumps nevertheless?
Oh, big time. In fact, the Super Bowl, as you know, is the biggest event in sports. And I remember waking up in my hotel room right before we played the San Diego Chargers, and I thought to myself, here's the big day, and by the end of the day, when that sun goes down, one way or another, my life is going to be profoundly changed. And I can only imagine Kurt Warner and Steve McNair, how they're feeling this morning. I'm sure they're feeling the full weight, finally, of what a Super Bowl means.
Are you ready for some football?
I'm ready for some
Are you ready for some football? You and I were together on Wild Card Saturday. I know you are. Wild Card Saturday, down 16-15 after the Buffalo Bills circled the wagon. 16 seconds ago, Frank Wycheck, a better curveball than Burt Weiler. Kevin Dyson slices, 75 yards. The Music City Miracle, 22-16 Titans over the Bills, catapulted the Wild Card Titans to 2 more road wins. And here they are against the high-flying St. Louis Rams. After being stopped in their tracks by Tampa Bay last week, under 5 to go, Kurt Warner to Ricky Prohl, 30 yards. Play the Titans. Rams and Titans ready to roll from their hotels to the stadium. Naturally, we roll with them. Leslie Vister's with the Rams. Jamie Roberts is with the Titans. James?
Well, Chris, good day, and I don't know who it was that came up with the term Hotlanta. It certainly doesn't apply today. A relatively quiet day here at the Titans Hotel. As you can see, the buses are assembled. The first one due to leave in about 15 minutes, and about 15 players are already on those buses. Still, the biggest issue with the Titans is the condition of Yancey Thigpen, the wide receiver. You may remember that he broke his right foot in the championship game last week against Jacksonville. We bumped into him a little bit earlier in the lobby. He was limping. Asked about his condition, he said that it was pretty much the same. He hasn't practiced all week. He said he was due to get some treatment. That, of course, the NFL euphemism for a pain-killing injection. Jeff Fisher said that unless he can get 30 to 35 snaps out of Thigpen, he won't be in the lineup. And Joey Kent will not only get his first NFL start, he'll get his first NFL start. He's only playing in 8 games this year. As for Jeff Fisher, pretty relaxed, went out for a jog early this morning. Said he had gathered the team together last night to show them some motivational films, including a soundbite from Oz Hakeem, the Rams wide receiver, who had predicted a St. Louis victory. He sat the team down and said, you know what? I'm not showing you these films. You don't need the motivation. The motivation was what got you here. You don't need it at this point. One last injury update. Marcus Robertson, the free safety, he's out, has been. He broke his foot last week, his ankle. In his place, Anthony Dorsett will get the start, making Anthony Dorsett and his father, Tony Dorsett, the former running back from the Cowboys, the first father-son combination to ever play in the Super Bowl. Now across town to Leslie Visser with the Rams.
Morning, Jimmy. Well, there is a feeling of unity and excitement here at the Rams Hotel. Before noon, the players watched a video, Road to the Super Bowl, produced by NFL Films. Kevin Carter told me it was hugely inspirational. The players were clapping and cheering. He said Dick Vermeil did not speak. The video spoke for itself. Well, on paper, everybody is healthy enough to play. Receiver Torrey Holt will wear a black jacket. You might remember last week he took that big hit from Derek Brooks. He was coughing up blood at halftime. Kicker Jeff Wilkins is set to go, and he better be. He is the only kicker the Rams have. And one note, safety Keith Lyle, who missed the last 8 games with neck and shoulder injuries, he will start. Dick Vermeil said he deserves that chance. Well, despite the icy road conditions, the team buses will leave in about 20 minutes where, with a police escort, they hope to be on their way to their first World Championship. Boomer?
All right, Leslie, Jimmy, back to you early in office. Seems to me the big issue of this game, do we see the Rams in the playoffs last week that just got one touchdown that was thrown off their mark by Tampa Bay, or the Rams team that got, what, 5 touchdowns in a quarter and a half against Minnesota? Can they just chuck last week away as a bad game, or is their confidence affected?
I think in some ways that's I believe, personally, from playing them, one of the best defenses in the last 10 years. I think they'll push it aside. I think they'll be high-flying, and especially with Anthony Dorsett replacing Marcus Robertson, I believe that we're going to see 40 points tonight from the Rams.
40 points?
40.
Well, they feel pretty good about that. They're great with leads, and 40 points, they'll take their chances. We've only just kicked it off. From here at the Georgia Dome, we're raring to go.
Still to come, one kick for $1 million. A super recipe from one of America's favorite chefs. And we'll show you what happens when football and magic collide. Also, 80 years ago, he was the NFL's first black quarterback and its first black coach, a remarkable pioneer named Fritz Pollard. And next, the Titan whose time has come. In his 17th season, offensive lineman Bruce Matthews is playing in his very first Super Bowl. The OurBeginning.com Super Bowl pregame show will continue.
It used to be that spreading the news of one's nuptials was a less than romantic affair.
The Oilers in the first round. He's just been named to his 12th consecutive Pro Bowl. He's played more games than any other offensive lineman, but his 278th game today will be his first Super Bowl. Robin Roberts on the man and family who have learned in the trenches that good things come to those who wait.
The Matthews family represents 40 years in the NFL, more than 575 games. Truly remarkable in a league where the average career is 4 seasons. But as the years rolled by, there was always something missing. Clay Jr., Clay Sr., and Bruce never played in the sport's ultimate game until today.
Tennessee is going to the Super Bowl after knocking off Jacksonville 33-14.
I ran around the house telling my wife, my son's going to the Super Bowl.
Clay Jr. couldn't bear to watch.
I don't know if I went outside because I was worried that things might go wrong. I think I was just genuinely excited for him.
Bruce's career has been a roller coaster ride of highs and lows. His first year in the league, he won 2 games. His second year, 3. He has been to the playoffs 8 times and has played alongside some of the game's great talent. However, each of his previous 16 seasons has ended in heartbreak.
The Bills have won it! The Bills have won it! Incredible! What a comeback by the Bills!
It's been hard, and every year it became more and more difficult to sit and watch the playoffs and the Super Bowl.
Clay Sr. always taught his sons the importance of loyalty. It is loyalty that got Bruce through the difficult times. When the Oiler franchise moved to Tennessee, Bruce never hesitated to go with them. He had a job to do. For 2 years, the franchise struggled, but the empty stadiums eventually filled, and in the end, his loyalty was rewarded.
This is the culmination of all that garbage that we've been going through. And at the time, it seemed so pointless. But now, you can see the purpose in all that and why we had to undergo all that.
The guy's been on this team for 17 years.
Today may be the day, after all these years, the day the Matthews family finally wins their championship.
I can just imagine the elation that I would feel, more so for him than for me or my family or my father or anything.
His brother and I are both pulling for him, and it gives both Clay and I the opportunity to go around and tell everyone we taught him everything he knows.
I know they are sharing in this excitement, and they're excited for me to be here. And, I know they're enjoying it, and I'm glad that they're able to enjoy it as well.
Clay Jr. was 1 win away from playing in the Super Bowl 3 times, taking part in 3 AFC championship games with the Cleveland Browns. Bruce says that's the most nervous and excited that he had ever been before any game, watching his big brother trying to make it to the Super Bowl. Well, it's taken the Matthews family 40 years to get here. Boomer, you said good things come to those who wait. Judging by the smiles on their faces, it was worth the wait.
Worth the wait and big smiles. And Clay and Bruce Matthews, only Gary Anderson is in there as far as regular season games played without ever getting to a Super Bowl. And Steve, longevity refreshing for Bruce Matthews, especially playing all on one team.
I think it makes a big difference to the fans, of course, but players. I played for the 49ers 13 years. That emblem on the side of your helmet becomes bigger than life, bigger than the players. the fans, the owner. It's that emblem that means so much to you. And I think that the league's done a great job with the franchise tag, because now with the franchise tag, they're keeping the marquee players in marquee cities. Now we just need to find a franchise tag for the franchises.
Oh, you've been a theme for this Super Bowl, haven't you?
Franchises in the same city.
Well, Robert and Steve, I mean, how about this story that Bruce Matthews and his coach, Jeff Fisher, college teammates at USC many a moon ago. Quite a reunion today. We'll be back.
Later, all you web surfers can ask the experts. Bob Griese, Dan Fouts, Ron Jaworski, and Jamal Anderson will answer your questions. Log on to SuperBowl.com or ESPN.com. TheHourBeginning.com.
But today, the $1 million kick comes before the Super Bowl, as 39-year-old Rod Sylvia, from our home state, from Ledyard, Connecticut, has a chance to nail a 40-yard field goal and win Hershey's $1 million kick sweepstakes. Who needs to read this anyway? At Phillips Arena, our own man with the $1 million hands, Lynn Swan. Swanee?
Thank you very much, Chris, and you are correct. We are live indoors at the Phillips Arena. Due to the fact of inclement weather, this kick was going to be held outdoors, but we brought it inside. Now, it is a 40-yard kick for $1 million, and our contestant comes here after a kickoff competition that was held in San Diego a week and a half. He was successful there, and so Rod Sylvia comes in from Connecticut, as you said, with a chance to kick. Now, Rod, when was the last time you kicked a 40-yard field goal?
In San Diego, I did one in practice.
So you come into this contest with a high degree of confidence.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, now, I'm going to go over here and talk to your coach here for a second, or at least introduce him, Nick Lowry, who was a heartbeat away from kicking in today's Super Bowl. He's been with him all week, and his wife, Rod's wife, Colleen, who actually entered him into the competition. So you've got the football, Colleen. Can I have that? Treat it very gently. Okay. Here you go, Rod. Now, the question is, do you want to be a millionaire?
Absolutely.
Final answer.
Absolutely.
Go tee it up.
Left foot and explode, baby.
Now, one of the last things that Nick told him before he set up was, think of this football as a putt. You know, you got that putt. If it's short, it has no chance of going in. Just go for it. Oh, a little short. Okay, come on, step right in here, Rod. Get your wife over. Now, I know you looked at your wife, you're a little disappointed, but even though you missed, it's still $10,000 in a great weekend for Super Bowl 34.
Awesome experience. It was great.
A little nervous?
Yeah, a little bit, but it was fun.
Okay, now, from Hershey's, Mike Pasquale, who's Senior Vice President of Hershey Foods, has a check for you. Go ahead, Mike.
We're all rooting for you, Rod. Great effort, but it wasn't meant to be. But it gives me great pleasure, on behalf of Hershey Foods, to award you the consolation prize, a check in the amount of $10,000. Lynn, thank you.
You're welcome. $10,000. Congratulations, Rod. Thank you very much. Chris, we'll send it back to you over at the Georgia Dome. He's disappointed, but just think about it. $10,000 and a great weekend at Super Bowl 34.
No question, Swanee. That'll buy a lot of Hershey's Kisses, I guess. He drove it. He gave it a shot, as we knew that any guy from the Nutmeg State would at least give it a shot, Steve. We'll be back to the getting off the bus, getting set to do battle with the Rams here in Super Bowl 34. The Titans have entered the building. A television army of 650 will be covering Super Bowl 34 for us at ABC, with 81 cameras requiring 90,000 feet of cable. By the way, for you technology buffs, this is the first time the Super Bowl is being broadcast to America in HD TV. Yesterday here in Atlanta, fittingly, two 49ers, each a four-time Super Bowl champ, entered together as first-time eligibles. Joe Montana, considered by many to be maybe the best quarterback of all time. Ronnie Lott at cornerback and safety, never anyone better. Montana and Lott going to the Hall of Fame, as does the Raiders pass rusher extraordinaire Howie Long, a 49er from another era. Linebacker Dave Wilcock from the 60s and the early 70s, the John Brody days, and Dan Rooney, president and owner, now joins his father, Art Rooney Sr., in Canton. And obviously here is Steve Young, who watched up close and personal Joe Montana perform his magic over and over and over again. Did you learn a lot of how to play quarterback from just watching Joe?
Goes without saying. I think one of my favorite stories about Joe Montana was in 1988. We played him in Chicago in the championship game in Soldier Field. It was about 60 below wind chill. Nobody wanted to go out for this game. I remember Joe carrying us to the Super Bowl, everybody looking for the buses to get out the field, and Joe took us to Super Bowl in Miami that year. One of the great memories I have, and you know, we can go on forever there. Ronnie Lott, my favorite story, at halftime. He was known for his great halftime speeches, motivation. One time he said, if we don't win, don't come back in this locker room. And I thought to myself, if I can't come in, I can't get my keys, I can't go home, what am I going to do? And he would watch the door. And he would watch the door.
And you and Joe have talked?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if I'm a good player, I learned it from Joe Montana, one of the greatest. Ronnie and Joe, probably when you build the foundation of the NFL in the pillars, they really become the pillars of the NFL.
Congratulations to all five, an honor very much deserved, obviously. Coming up on the WebMD pregame show, magic that may even top the Music City Miracle. Renowned magician David Blaine. Stunts like burying himself alive for a week at a Manhattan construction site just last year. David Blaine is very much alive and well, as many of today's players found out this week.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Take whatever you like. The ace of clubs? Good. Put it face up right here. Yeah, and sign your name across it. Yeah, good. Now look, this is your card, your signature, right? Look what I do. I estimate, and I'm saying this is about middle. About. By estimation. About. Now look, here's what I do. If I hit the card, one card shoots right up. That's your signature. Look, do it again. Watch. You do it. Pick up half of the deck. About half. Estimate. Good. That's you. I put them, you put them on top yourself. You turn the top card. Go ahead. Go ahead. Take one out. Anyone. Touch one. Go ahead. Look at it. Show it to everybody except for me, including the camera. Yeah. Look, stick it inside anywhere. Great. Now look, the card goes right in. Now watch, the first part is I hit it to the top, but since it shook, it might be off in the rush. I'm off by a suit, right? But it was close. Okay, we can, yeah. Look, here, we'll rip it up piece by piece, and we're going to start fresh. Look, card gets ripped up. Hold your hand palm up for me. No. Here, look, name the card now. It wasn't the seven of clubs. It was what card? You want me to name seven of hearts? Yeah. That's what I thought. I was off by the suit. Look, here's the card, but watch this. Like, if we take the seven of hearts, if I get it, watch, if you can see it, look, if I squeeze it, see how it changes? Oh, look, no, but look in your hand. Oh, Show him. Back out. Now, wait, look, stay here, wait, stay here, look. Squeeze the pieces, squeeze them tight. Squeeze tight. You feel them start to stick? You feel them start to stick? Open your hand, the card's not ripped anymore. Open it. God, that's the best trick I've seen. How do you do that? That was the best trick I've ever seen in my life. Hey, how do you do that?
I don't know. Maybe we need to suit him up on Sunday.
How do you do that?
Well, they're hoping that David can make Javon Curse disappear. Maybe the biggest magic trick would be making the Cards from Arizona come to the Super Bowl. At any rate, maybe that's next year. Anything's possible. Coming up, Charles Gibson visits with Tennessee head coach Jeff Fisher.
We live in our own little world. We've got this little world where we sit there and we design game plans and teach players and go out and win games. And you got to believe that what you're doing is the right way. And every coach in the National Football League on the first night of training camp stands up and talks about going to the Super Bowl.
Players in today's game, including Titan strong safety Blaine Bishop. It's a danger that does not discriminate, as Andrea Kramer reports.
1994, Troy Aikman suffers a concussion in the NFC Championship game, but barely remembers playing in the Super Bowl the following week. Later that year, Merrill Hodges' 8-year career comes to an end when he sustained 2 concussions in 41 days. And just this season, Chris Miller's comeback from a self-imposed 3-year absence is ended by one too many hits. Concussions have touched the lives of many NFL players, and for some, the mark is indelible.
Blurred vision, slurred speech, memory loss sometimes,
involuntary muscle twitches.
Harry Carson played 13 seasons at linebacker for the Giants and wears a Super Bowl ring to show for it. But his life has been worn thin by the 15 concussions he suffered along the way.
I used to have a very good vocabulary, and there was a time when it was very difficult for me to retrieve words that I wanted to use in making statements. And I had to go back and get like words on tape and sort of listen to those things in the car and sort of re-educate myself.
You can ice your knee, you can ice an elbow, but you can't ice your brain.
What happens during a concussion? The brain, which essentially floats unprotected in the skull, momentarily shuts down due to a sudden concussive wave.
The brain is not working correctly for a period of time, and that time is variable. The misconception that many people have, and something we've had to fight to get over in sports-related concussion, is the misconception that to be knocked out is paramount to having a concussion. You don't have to be knocked out cold like you would traditionally see a boxer knocked out to have a concussion.
If you do not understand what is going on, it can make you feel very crazy. It's true. I have to admit that there was a point in time when I felt like that was me.
Carson found help from a book dealing with head injuries. It so inspired him that he copied sections and sent them to friends and family.
I wanted them to know what I was feeling. I wanted them to know what I was going through because nobody knew.
One of the things that I really struggled with, took a long time for me, had no sense of direction. It was months before I could actually leave my house. I'm talking not just go somewhere else and go around the block and then get back to my front door. Couldn't do that.
In the past, we thought, well, so-and-so has a concussion and his career's ended too bad, now he can get on with the rest of his life. And that may not be true.
The effects were sort of devastating at times because I chose broadcasting as my next field of endeavor. And I had some problems with memory. You know, you could give me a script, I really couldn't remember everything that was on the script.
What the doctors will tell you, the experts, that it doesn't get better, it can only get worse. So, you know, just hold your breath. Now you don't know what the future holds as far as getting worse. But you know this, it's not going to get better.
Thank you, Andrew. Steve, you missed almost the entire season after the concussion we saw on Monday Night Football. Are we getting smarter with concussions now, like by the time frame?
I think people are learning a lot. Doctors are learning a lot. I think the important thing to remember, those are drastic symptoms that Harry and Merrill talked about. And I think because of that, attitudes are changing. For years, football players used a concussion as a frivolity and laughed about it. They would go back into games, use it as a badge of courage, as if it was okay. I think the times are changing and attitudes are changing in the sense that now doctors, coaches, and players are aware that if you get a concussion, take some time off, rest, let it heal, and then you can play some more football. I took the whole season off this year, and there's not a question that if you'll do that for young players, especially moms out there worried about their kids playing football, just make sure that it's well coached, that the doctors are aware, and that you let this thing rest, and you can play still one of the great games that was ever designed, football.
How about you, though? You want to play next year? Can you play next year?
I'll be clear to play football. I think the other question is, will I play football based on a lot of other stuff other than concussions, that's for sure.
But medically, you're good.
I'm good.
Well, you'll do the right thing.
I will, thank you.
All right. We'll be back here at the Georgia Dome. We're inching closer to Super Bowl 34.
Still ahead, the story of a new addition from afar for the family Marino. Barbara Walters and company speak out on a super view. And next, the young Titan who's coached Tennessee into the Super Bowl. Charles Gibson talks with Jeff Fisher. The Britannica.com Super Bowl pregame show will continue after this from our ABC station.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brad Sherwood. Oh, we shot this spot 2 weeks ago, and we didn't know who was playing. It could be the Titans and the Buccaneers, or the Rams and the Jaguars, or the Titans and the Rams, or the Jaguars and the Buccaneers. Even though I didn't know who would play, just watch whose line is it anyway. Watch ABC.
Son, one day, this could all be yours. But until then, I still get to drive it.
Like a
Chevy Silverado. It has a more powerful V8 than any top-selling Ford or Dodge pickup. It even has a bigger extended cab than Ford F-150 and Dodge Ram.
So you'd really give me the Silverado?
Well, you might have to fight your sister for it.
Silverado. It's the truck from Chevy.
We are the champions, my friends.
And we'll keep on fighting till the end. We are the champions. We are the champions. No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions of the world.
Marchi and Greco live from Atlanta tonight after the practice.
This is ABC Sports' exclusive coverage of Super Bowl 34, the Britannica.com pregame show.
All right, St. Louis fans, you getting nervous the Titans were here? Don't worry. Marshall Faulk and the Rams have arrived. Both teams have entered the building for Super Bowl 34. Jeff Fisher has guided his once Houston Oilers, now Tennessee Titans, with our Good Morning America's Charles Gibson.
Good job. That's it. Hey, you're hot, you're tired. You're not thinking, you're not concentrating. Finish the drill. This is your chance. Come on.
When you went to training camp with a team that had been 8-8 for 3 years, you didn't expect to be here, did you?
I expected to be in the playoffs, and I expected to proceed in the playoffs, with this being the ultimate goal. As the season moved on, things started to fall into place for us. Everybody dreams about, and every coach in the National Football League on the first night of training camp stands up and talks about going to the Super Bowl. But I think what happens is you stop talking about it, and that's your goal. Now you have to have a series of short-term goals that you must meet and accomplish as you work towards that. And if you just say, hey, we're going to go to the Super Bowl, you got to play hard today. You got to have better practice today, so we can go to the Super Bowl. It doesn't cut it.
3 8-8 seasons in a row coming into this year, all in different places, but 3 8-8 seasons. When you went into this season, reasonable in your mind to expect, if I don't win, I'm gone?
I didn't think that was the case, but there's always the possibility. I mean, coaches have been fired after losing championship games before, so, you can't let those things bother you. You have to, we live in our own little world. We've got this little world where we sit there and we design game plans and teach players and go out and win games, and you got to believe that what you're doing is the right way. And, I've pushed that and pushed that and pushed that for the last 4 years and sold it and convinced people that this way we're doing things here is right. Just believe me. Be patient. We'll get this thing together. And, fortunately for us, proved it to be true.
What are the satisfactions of coaching?
I say this often. I get up every morning, high-five myself, and then get to work as fast as I can, because I really, truly enjoy what I'm doing.
Can you, Jeff Fisher, enjoy this game for what it is, or in order, really, for this to be an enjoyable experience for you, do you have to win it?
I don't want to double bogey 18. I mean, we don't want to do that. We've come here, we've come too far. You don't want to get to this point and lose. This is it. One team holds the trophy, the other team goes back to the drawing board. We want to hold the trophy.
That 4-6 defense is a little different attack for Jeff Fisher. He was with the Niners in the early 90s. What'd you see in him then when he was an assistant?
Well, my experience with Jeff Fisher, he's uniquely a great motivator, but I think also he is unique on game day. Like very few other coaches, he is unafraid to make the call. If it took 62 blitzes in a row tonight to beat the Rams, he would call 62 blitzes.
You know what I think we should remind everyone about Jeff Fisher is that, I mean, when the Oilers were going to leave Houston, he still had that team at 8-8. Chuck Knox, one of the best coaches ever. When the Rams said they were leaving Los Angeles, they lost 7 in a row. So he had a rein on his players, and there you are, looking at the Vince Lombardi trophy. Rams and Titans vying for it. Meanwhile, we'll come back to submit your questions to our experts at our roundtable. Bob Greasy, Ron Jaworski, Dan Fouts, Jamal Anderson with Mike Tirico.
It talks about playing happy, and the reason he says that is because when you are happy, that's when you are at your most unconscious. That's when you let things happen as opposed you try to control them. You see kids do it all the time. Kids play happy, and kids, they have the ability to allow themselves to be unconscious, and therefore they don't realize their limitations, or they feel they have no limitations because they play happy.
When you combine Reese's Peanut Butter Cups and crispy wafers, the combination is irresistible. Reese Sticks, the crisp you can't resist.
This Valentine's Day, she'll love diamonds from Kay Jewelers. Kay travels the world hand-selecting only the best for you, like Kay's diamond heart pendant with free cut.
We're later on in the booth. Al, have a great game as always.
Guys, take care.
Always a pleasure. We'll be back to the Georgia Dome in a moment.
Next, Ask the Experts. Go online at superbowl.com or ESPN.com and submit your questions to Bob Greasy, Ron Jaworski, Dan Fouts, and Jamal Anderson. Also, a super perspective from Barbara Walters in the Women of the Few. And later, Fritz Pollard, a sports pioneer who long ago showed the NFL and America his courage and character. Stay tuned for the Hewlett-Packard pregame show. After this, and a word from your local station.
Blockbuster, where each week you'll find the hottest new releases guaranteed to be there, presents the championship chase. Jeff Fisher's Titans were lucky to have been cursed all year with defensive rookie Javon Curse, who was a key ingredient to Tennessee's success this season. The Rams' combination of quarterback Kurt Warner, receiver Isaac Bruce, and running back Marshall Faulk produced one of the most prolific offenses in the NFL.
A month ago, you resolved to spend more quality time with the family, visit new places, and increase your heart rate. It's time to make good. Starting tomorrow, for a limited time, Blockbuster will be offering 2 5-evening new releases for only $4.99, so you'll be able to stock up on great movies like Mickey Blue Eyes, American Pie, The General's Daughter, and more. 2 5-evening new releases for only $4.99, guaranteed to be there at Blockbuster.
Can't get enough peanuts? Get a payday. Sweet caramel and tons of...
Quarterback from the great Charger days, Dan Fouts. Jamal Anderson, who was in the Super Bowl 1 year ago with the Atlanta Falcons. Bob Greasy, who led the Miami Dolphins to their Super Bowls. And Ron Jaworski, who was the quarterback the last time Dick Vermeil was the head coach in a Super Bowl. Well, at superbowl.com or ESPN.com, we've been inviting you to leave some questions for these guys. We've logged on, dove in. Here's what we pulled out. Let's start with this question, which kind of gets to where we are right now. How do the players prepare mentally on game day to get ready for the Super Bowl? That's Nick in North Carolina asking the question. And Jamal, you would be the perfect guy to go to. Right. Exactly 1 year ago, you were 3 hours away from kickoff. What were you feeling?
Well, first thing you're talking about is the biggest game, and you're trying to make the Super Bowl a smaller game. When you're coming into the stadium, like you just saw Eddie George, you don't want to think about it as being this great big Super Bowl game, just another game, a regular game. And so he's going through the plays right now in every aspect of the game and figuring out how he can make that one play that can allow them to win that game today. And so you just got to relax.
I think you relax. I think that's the key thing. We played in 3 straight of these, and I think the first one I was over-prepared and too uptight going into the game. I think you have to stay loose and just let it all hang out and let it fly.
You know, that's easier said than done. I mean, when you look at the Super Bowl, it's an unbelievably hyped game, and that's really the key. You've got to be able to control that. And I can think back to Super Bowl 15, the game that I played in. About this time, our owner, Leonard Toast, brought Don Rickles into our locker room. As we're trying to get our game face on, he's running around telling jokes. That made it easy to relax, but tough to focus.
And Leonard Toast will be in the building again today.
And he will be here, and also Dick Vermeil got a telegram from Don Rickles.
But Don's not here.
He's not here.
So no fear for Rams fans. Let's talk about the running backs for a second. There's a question from Arizona, and it talks about Eddie George, Marshall Faulk. Who's going to have the bigger impact on today's game? Both certainly had an impact on the NFL stat sheet at the end of the year. Talk about the game, and you talk about gaining yards. Total yards from scrimmage, Marshall Faulk set an all-time NFL record. Eddie George was 4th. That's rushing, receiving combined. Who has the bigger impact today?
Well, I think both of them are tremendous players, but I think for Tennessee to win, Eddie George has got to get the ball 25, 30 times. He's got to be physical from the first quarter to the 4th quarter, and he's got to be effective in the receptions. And that's going to be important for Titans to win the game today.
Yeah. Marshall Faulk is the statistical and emotional leader of the Rams. When he gets big numbers, so do his teammates.
5.5 yards per carry on the ground, but most importantly, it's out of the backfield as a receiver that he is most dangerous. Marshall Faulk needs to touch the ball, like Jamal said for Eddie George, 25, 30 times. If he does that, that means 2 touchdowns, and Jaws, your old coach, is going to get a W.
He's looking forward to getting that W for being 1-1.
That's for sure. Now, Marshall Faulk was not as big a part of the game plan the last time the Rams played in the NFC title game. Maybe in the plans, but not in the execution. And speaking of getting ready a game plan, here's our next question. It comes from the great state of Michigan. How will having only 1 week to prepare affect today's game? Bob?
I like 2 weeks. I like to be able to work and get your preparation done at home at your own site before you go to the... Then you've got tickets, you've got family, you've got hotel rooms, you've got all this stuff. The players will probably be less prepared for this game this week than they were for any game during the season.
You know, Bob, I would agree, but the fact that they met in Week 8 will help in game planning. Of course, the coach is going to make changes, but when they look at a tape of that game, they'll look at those individual head-to-head matchups and weigh the abilities of their players against those of the opponent. But, Mike, when I look at this game as a whole, the team that makes the best adjustments, the coaching staff that adjusts the best from that game to this game, as well as halftime, will win.
Let me sneak in one last quick question. Somebody on the internet wanted to have a little fun. Let's take Steve McNair and put him on the other side. Take Kurt Warner, put him on the Titans. Nate in Ohio wants to know, Bob, would these teams have made the Super Bowl?
No. St. Louis wants to throw. The Titans want to run. Now, that's not to say that Steve McNair would not like to throw the football. I mean, he's an unselfish player. He'll do whatever it takes to win, but look for Steve McNair to come up with probably the biggest play of the game. He ain't going to hurt you with his arm. It's probably going to be with his legs scrambling out of the backfield.
And, Bob, Kurt Warner's talents fit this Rams offense perfectly. Sets up quickly in the pocket. He delivers the ball in a catchable fashion. That allows his receivers to make big plays after the catch. And who wouldn't love to play in a bombs-away offense like this one?
Boy, no surprise from Dan Fouts. He wants to go bombs away. We'll see you later on. Right now, we'll send it back to Chris over at the Georgia Dome. All right, Michael, guys, pretty good football talent there. Speaking of football talent, Steve, the Rams have scored 12 touchdowns this year, not on offense, 8 defense, 4 on returns. So, I mean, that defense looking for the end zone, that's unusual.
Well, before this year, and I know the Rams defense as well as anyone over the years, they're the ones that carried the team with Wistrom, Carter, Farr, Light. These are all guys, these are good defense. They've been out overshadowed this year by an explosive offense. Yes. But these are the guys that, like you said, scored 12 touchdowns over this season, and well enough could be the difference this week with another touchdown or 2. They're capable of scoring points for the Rams.
And Kevin Carter says, hey, I have the most sacks in football. Why is everybody talking about Javon Curtis, right?
19 sacks, and we're not even talking about Javon Curtis with 14 now, but 19 sacks over the whole season.
Defenses, they'll be busy. We'll be back in Atlanta where we're busy. More of the Hewlett-Packard pregame show coming up.
This is the workshop of radicals. A one-car garage where 2 young men with $500 in venture capital invented an industry. Their idea was simple. Invent something useful and significant, or it doesn't leave the garage. The idea was so simple, it was radical. Today, the company of Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard is being reinvented. The original startup will act like one again. Watch.
Aren't they cute? And so well behaved.
What's gotten into them?
WWF Entertainment.
Hey, Giovanni! You smell what the rock is cooking?
What do you think?
It's got to move left.
What about how far?
I'd say about 2 feet.
I'm thinking 3.
Yeah, it's your call.
Move it 3 feet left.
You heard him. Left. Win the keys to the Buick Golf Dream House. 45 days in the Florida sun, plus tons of golf and a new Buick Century. For details, visit our website at www.tiger.buick.com.
Make it 5 feet.
Everybody's an architect.
There's always going to be great skaters coming up. Naomi Narinam is a great example. She's young, and she's like a budding star.
Will Kwan keep her crown, or will a rising star take her place? The State Farm U.S. Figure Skating Championships, coming Saturday night, February 12th to ABC.
ABC Sports exclusive coverage of Super Bowl 34, brought to you by HP, a company of inventors in Silicon Valley. Blockbuster, where you'll find hot new releases guaranteed to be there. And Ford F-Series, the best-selling trucks are built Ford tough.
One of the attractions on tap for tonight's Super Bowl halftime show is Phil Collins. Already winner of 6 Grammy Awards, he's up for 2 more next month for his contribution to the Disney film Tarzan. And we don't even talk about Phil Collins. We bring him here to Steve Young out. Phil Collins in on your 49th birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Today is the day.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You big American football fan, or
Well,
you're getting there?
I don't understand it all, you know. I mean, it probably takes years of learning. But I mean, I'm always impressed with the event and the spectacle. I've seen a couple of games. I went to see the Bears in Chicago a couple of times. And Walter Payton was a friend of mine. So tonight I'm going to be interested in just sort of the event and the spectacle and trying to work out.
What are you singing at halftime?
I'm doing a song called Two Worlds because this whole halftime thing is based on people coming together, and we don't need an excuse, but at the beginning of the millennium, it'd be nice to sort of have a bit more understanding in the world.
Well, you once sang what? The Live Aids on both sides of the pond in one night, so this should be a breeze, right?
This is a breeze. This is a breeze. This is like work at all.
Do you have a favorite song of all of them, Genesis or your own? Is there one or two that just hit you right?
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously you feel a bond with most of them that you've written, especially in my own. But yeah, there's songs that I've some songs are special, but like In the Air Tonight. Some songs are favourites, like Take Me Home. But I love the Tarzan stuff. You know, I worked on it for 4 years, and it became very close to the project. So I'm very, very proud of that.
We're looking forward to hearing. I like both sides of the story.
Yeah.
If I make my
well, you certainly may. That's my favourite record, both sides of the story.
There you go. And then tonight, both sides of the story. A pick, or are you going to stay out of it?
Well, I should stay out of it because I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, then you have a chance to pick it right.
But Tennessee, you know, I was a big Davy Crockett fan when I was growing up.
There you go. There you
go.
go.
If I have anything, it's for Tennessee, probably.
Thank you, Phil. Enjoy. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
On his birthday, he joins us. We'll still see Phil a little bit later on. Other featured performers on the E-Trade Super Bowl 34 halftime show, produced by Walt Disney Attractions, will be Tony Braxton, Christina Aguilera, and more. Touchdowns at a premium in the Super Bowl, so it's only fitting that we join a man nicknamed TD. Super Bowl 32 MVP TD Terrell Davis is with our Lynn Swann, MVP of Super Bowl 10. Swanee?
Thank you very much, Chris. You know, we all who love the game of football miss the fact that you're not in it because of the injury. Bring us up to date. You're hurt in October. How's your rehab?
Rehab is doing great right now. I think I'm probably around 2 weeks ahead of schedule. I'm not quite sure, but it's doing great. I'm doing agilities right now. I can backpedal. I can go side to side. So to me, the knee is where it needs to be.
Okay, now, I want to throw out some numbers to you.
Yeah.
You hold the NFL record for average yards per game, rushing 105.1. But in the playoffs, you hold the record also, but it went up to 142.5. Eddie George, Marshall Faulk, different style, different than yours, but is it necessary? Is that the key in this ball game, to elevate your game?
It's always the key to elevate your game. With me, when I go into a game, I always want to play the game like it's my last game. And obviously, this is the last game for a lot of these players of the season. So to go out here and have this stage in its forum to display your talent, the whole world is watching. So you have to have a very special game when you come out here. And with me, I always wanted to make sure that that's what I brought to the table when I played.
You did a great job. We miss you. We look forward to you coming back. And Boomer, he knows what he's talking about. Look for one of those guys to turn it on today.
All right, Swanee, TD, thank you. And a guy that can make it happen for Eddie George is this man, Bruce Matthews. 278th game, his first Super Bowl. Titans-Rams. We're steamrolling toward kickoff.
It's time for E-Trade, the #1 place to invest online. 82 was St. Louis's lucky number as Tony Horn and the Rams special teams opened the second half of the divisional playoffs with a flourish. Horn returned Mitch Berger's kickoff 95 yards to spark a 35-point salvo in a 49-37 win.
Oh, baby.
Hey, Mr. Dinky's busy.
Hey, Dinky, I quit.
Yes, sir.
After a big win, the football team usually dumps a bucket of ice water on the coach. Now I thought, why not 7-Up? Maybe next time we'll take it out of the can.
This Valentine's Day, she'll love diamonds from Kay Jewelers. Kay travels the world hand-selecting only the best for you. Like Kay's diamond heart pendant here.
King Gustav of Sweden said, "You, sir, are the greatest athlete in the world," to which he replied, "Thanks, King," at that time. He's the winner. The Vince Lombardi Trophy, 34 Super Bowls in 80 NFL seasons. That means we must wait until Super Bowl 46, 12 years from now, so there are half as many Super Bowls as there are seasons. The numbers aren't the only things to change through the years in pro football. Here's Jim McKay.
If you're younger than I am, and the odds are very good that you are, you can be forgiven for thinking that the Super Bowl, as we'll see it today, has always been like Christmas or New Year's. But that's just not the case. When I was 13 years old, my uncle gave my cousin and me free season passes to the Philadelphia Eagles home games. Now, they weren't too hard to get in the 1930s because attendance at Old Shibe Park was no more than a few thousand a game. Pro football really was only semi-pro in those days. One Sunday, the lowly Eagles amazed their supporters by beating Cincinnati 64-0. They were amazed, that is, until they read in the newspapers the next day what the Cincinnati...
When I was a kid growing up, I really never thought about life as what might become of it. I was just enjoying it. Growing up, your parents, you know, they instill in you, if you're going to do something, do it the best you can do, or else don't do it at all. Football was fun, especially in college. At Jackson State, I got a chance to do everything. Kick the ball, punt the ball, run back kickoffs, run back punts, throw the ball, catch the ball, you know, block. If I'd have went to some other university, I would have just been a running back. Probably wouldn't even call you passes. Doesn't matter where you are, a small college, big college, if you can play football, they come knocking on your door.
Chicago Bears, first round selection. Walter Payton, P-A-Y-T-O-N, running back, Jackson State.
When I started, I only had one speed, and that was 900 miles an hour. When somebody is tackling you, don't make it easy for them. Make it hard for them, because next time they come around, they'll be thinking about that. Stiff arm, never go down easy. Make them work for every tackle they got. What God has given me, I'm not going to let go to waste. I'm going to utilize it to the best of my ability, and I'm going to work at it. I don't look at myself as being great. I look at myself as being the best that I possibly can. I'm living the life that I enjoy and I love. It's pressure in every sense, because every time you went out there on the field, everybody's watching you, walk into some places, yeah, you won't break Jim Brown's record, you won't do this, you won't do that, which motivated me.
Walter needs 2 to break the record. High formation, quick pitch to Walter, looking for the record, cuts back, he's got it, he's out over the 25 to the 26-yard line. Walter Payton becomes the National Football League all-time leading rusher, surpassing Jim Brown on his second carry here in the second half, and that's the equivalent to Hank Aaron breaking Babe Ruth's all-time home run record. And listen to the standing ovation.
13 years of professional ball, and this has been my livelihood. This has been what I've been doing, and I'm getting ready to walk away from it. Yeah, I cried, and I'm not ashamed of it, because that's having compassion, and part of being a human being is being able to show your emotions. I want to keep going on. I want to show them that regardless of what you do, you can always reach higher. The brightest memory that I have since I've been playing football has nothing to do with football. It's the best thing that ever happened to me, and that was to see my firstborn smile at me and be there when my daughter was born. And those things, they overshadowed anything that I've accomplished on the football field and ever will. You know, I've lost a considerable amount of weight, but as you may understand, I'm as healthy as I can be.
Are you scared over this?
Am I scared? Hell yeah, I'm scared. Would you be scared?
Message to your fans, Walter?
Message to my friends, to the people that really care about me. To the people that really care about me, just continue to pray. And for those who are going to say what they want to say, may God be with you also.
Dad, we love you and we miss you. One day we will all join you. I recognize that millions of people will miss you because of what you've done on the football field and the lives that you've touched. I will miss you because you are my dad.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brad Sherwood. Oh, we shot this spot 2 weeks ago, and we didn't know who was playing. It could be the Titans and the Buccaneers, or the Rams and the Jaguars, or the Titans and the Rams, or the Jaguars and the Buccaneers. Even though I didn't know who would play, just watch whose line is it anyway. Watch ABC.
See the USA in your Chevrolet. America's the greatest land of all.
The new Chevy Impala LS has better acceleration than the 3 top-selling cars in its class. So it's only fair to tell you, Sunday drives may last until Tuesday. Let's go for a drive. Impala, we'll be there.
Have relied on us for their energy needs. Given a choice, it seems everyone would. Gas, electricity, energy from Nicor. Make yourself comfortable.
If there's a cure for this, I don't want it. I don't want it. If there's a remedy, I'll run from it. I'll run from it. I think about it all the time. About it all. I never let it up.
Call us obsessed, but it's really about giving you the best wireless service possible. Cellular One, hopelessly focused on wireless.
Sign up and get free roaming and long distance, plus a free Ericsson phone.
The latest news, weather, and traffic, weekday mornings beginning at 5.
This is ABC Sports' exclusive coverage of Super Bowl 34, the Ruffles Flavor Rush Kickoff Show.
Bring the battle. Let's do it. Dominate. 1, 2, 3, dominate.
They gonna recognize today. They gonna recognize today.
Titans, Rams, loose here in Atlanta. Getting to the point in the afternoon for some final thoughts. Let's rejoin our Knights of the Round Table, if you will, up at the ESPN Zone in Atlanta, headed by the king of the court, Mike Tirico. Michael?
Well, Chris, thank you. All across America and here just outside of Atlanta, people are settling into their seats to enjoy the game here on ABC at the ESPN Zone in Buckhead. On his own bus, the bus, Jerome Bettis has arrived. The Pittsburgh Steelers, an AFC guy, says Tennessee Titans, and he throws in, the Rams traded me. How can I root for the Rams? Let's talk about one thing we may have missed here in covering all these items. We talked Kurt Warner and Steve McNair and Javon Curse. What about the Rams defense? This was the best per game against the rush, #1 in sacks and #4 in points allowed. Jamal Anderson's Falcons played him twice. How good is this Rams D?
They're good, and it is a frightening indicator of the Rams' offensive prowess when you have the #6 ranked defense, the NFL sack leader in Kevin Carter, Todd Light, a Pro Bowler, DeMarco Farr, and London Fletcher, and you receive very little attention Super Bowl week.
Well, the game is always in the hands of the quarterbacks. Now it's in the hands of you guys. Who wins and why, Bob?
I like the Rams. They're a big play, speed team playing indoors on artificial turf against a defense that is susceptible to giving up big plays and a free safety that is out of the ballgame.
Danny?
Well, Bob, I live in the great outdoors up there in Oregon. No dome team has ever won the Super Bowl. I believe Tennessee is tougher, especially at the line of scrimmage. And you know, us old quarterbacks, it's been 12 years since I last played, but I had a nightmare last night, Bob. Number 90 was that nightmare. Javon Curse, I like Tennessee.
Which player who's made an impact in his first full year in the league is going to have the significant story, Kurt Warner or Javon Curse? Some of the storylines we'll be watching when we see you down there at the Dome. Back to Chris and Steve. Guys?
All right, Michael, guys, thank you very much. Still to come live from Atlanta as we get real close to kickoff. A classic from a classic. Rocky, but Tina Turner performs Proud Mare as we roll on. Back with more on the Ruffles Flavor Rush kickoff show.
Hey, neighbor. Can I borrow some ice? Yeah, sure. Hold this. Yep. Thanks. Got any sugar? Toothbrush? Hairdryer?
With more barbecue and cheddar flavor you can see, more you can taste on every chip and every bite. New Ruffles Flavor Rush potato chips keep you coming back for more.
Former occupation, sumo wrestler. What's so funny? You're just a little guy. What happened? It tastes too good. I didn't know it wasn't regular cola. I don't need to see that. This is good.
Try Pepsi One. A breakthrough sweetener makes it taste more like a regular.
Have you ever thought about being a jockey? You're a funny lady.
Too good to be 1 calorie, but it is.
You need to go upstairs and get changed. Farewell to...
No matter what kind of morning you're having, it only takes 9.3 seconds for powerful nutrition. Tropicana Pure Premium. The best 9.3 seconds you can possibly spend on yourself.
Hey, I want to talk to you about the latest release, guaranteed to be a blockbuster, Runaway Bride. Now, I know what you're thinking. Chick flick. Not true. There's hitting, tackling. Where's she going? And lots of scorn. So what do you say? Help me out here, huh? I can't afford to lose this job, too.
That's a lovely dress. In the last year, millions of Americans chose to start their days smarter.
Good morning, America. I'm Charles Gibson.
And I'm Diane Sawyer.
Listen to what the critics are saying. GMA, fresher and livelier than its competition. Good morning, America. Dazzling. And when they talk about substance, Good Morning America scores while the competition snores. Do something good for yourself. Good Morning America. It's just not a good morning without it.
ABC Sports exclusive coverage of Super Bowl 34. Brought to you by new Ruffles Flavor Rush. Ruffles Flavor Rush keeps you coming back for more. And 7-Up and your local 7-Up bottler. Make 7-Up yours.
40 minutes to kick off the festivities on the field. Chris Berman along with Steve Young. And, well, when you hear the sound of the lights come up, you remember why we came, right?
My heart's pounding.
You said 3.5 hours ago, St. Louis, 40 points. So I know Tennessee then heard that, went in and made some adjustments. They looked at Tampa Bay's game film. They allowed those 6-7-yard completions. They're going to make the sticks right there. But can they play like Tampa Bay did against St. Louis?
Well, they'd have to play a lot more zone. They'd have to play some zone blitzes. That's not their game. Their game is man-to-man. They're going to bring the blitzes. They're going to try to play the combination coverages. With Marcus Robertson out of the game, it puts a real hole in that defensive secondary, and I think the Rams receivers are much too strong. So unless they play that zone, I see for a big day from the Rams and Kurt Warner.
How about 45 wins for the Rams from 90 to 98 and 15 here this year in 99 because they have such unbelievable team speed. But with Tennessee, Steve, what you see statistically is not what you get. 300 yards passing in 3 games by McNair. Warner topside in 1 game. But they can move the ball in different ways, bootlegs, etc.
Right, and also the middle screens to Wycheck. They're going to try to do a lot of things to get some unique scores together. I mean, they're going to score off a punt return on a safety. If they can do that and they can create 3 turnovers, I believe they've got to get 3 turnovers from the Rams to have a chance in this game.
Well, they've been great with turnovers, plus 18. And remember, Wilkins hurt as a kicker. Del Greco may have an advantage there, but you don't think field goals are going to be the issue?
I really believe under those circumstances, Jeff Wilkins can stay in the locker room.
Rams, Titans. We'll be back to wrap up the pregame and kick to the real game. Who better to launch it with than with Tina Turner? Stay with us. Are here to witness it together. For Steve Young and all of us here on the ABC pregame show, I'm Chris Berman. Thanks for joining us on our journey. We'll see you at halftime. We'll see you after the game, called by Al Michaels and Boomer Esiason. And now we go to the field, where the Rams, Titans have already answered a demand that team